time to strap in and get ready.
The leaders in AFL SuperCoach are incoming, helping you win your leagues and climb up the rankings.
You're now listening to the Insight AFL Show with your hosts, Big Horse and Skitty.
Good evening and welcome to the Insight AFL Show. I'm your host, the SuperCoach Horse, and with me tonight is Hurls. Hurls, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm looking forward to tonight. We've been talking about this one for a little while and thinking about putting something together which is a bit more strategic and just thinking about how we execute our grand plan. So looking forward to it. Hopefully people at home get a little bit of value out of it.
Yeah, spot on, mate. So you and I have spoken a little bit about putting the team out for the community to see and how we go about it. So what we're going to do tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to do some comparisons last year to this year, how we started, how we're tracking now, trades to look out for, and all that sort of jazz. So if you're interested in how to structure your team, how to be strategic in who you're going to bring in at what time, some pods, some value to come in your team, some rookies to potentially look into in a month's time, 6 weeks' time, then you're not going to want to miss this because we're going to run this each week because, Hurls, you started, it was fairly deep. Was it like 70,000th or something?
Yeah, it was. So both years, actually. Last year it was, I think, round 1, 70,000. This year wasn't much different, 68,000 or something. The big difference is I've made a lot less ground up this year. So and I thought what we'll probably do with this episode is, the people who are subscribers to our Patreon have had access to a couple of articles I've written called The Grand Plan, where I tried to help people with how do you go from your starting squad of 10 keepers through to the full primo, as we call it. Sometimes it's full fake primo, but full primo of 23 keepers by about the end of the buys. And so what this weekly pod will do is just let people track along with what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Now, what I'm not trying to say to everyone is you should be copying me or that I know more than anyone or any of that. This is just going to give you a baseline to help you make some decisions in your own team and hopefully let you look out for some pitfalls to avoid. Because one thing that I found really interesting when I was doing the planning for this was we all knew there was a rookie crisis coming,
100%.
But I think I've been able to quantify the rookie crisis in dollar terms, which is going to scare the shit out of everybody because it certainly scared the shit out of me.
Hasn't it? We try and get to, what value mark is it that we try and get to? Is it 12,000 or 13 million or 12 million?
Last year was
million?
14. Yeah, last year was about 14 mil. And this year, we're a little bit behind that. Like, even the best teams are behind last year. And look, some of that might be, we know they changed this year. We added the flex into SuperCoach. I think it's been a great addition, by the way. But it means 31 players rather than 30. They did do some adjustments in the value and in the magic number behind the scenes, but I don't know if that has impacted overall team values. It certainly feels like this year is a lot lower, and I can certainly tell you my team at the moment is a lot lower than it was last year, even though I know some of the reasons why as well.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's the same for a lot of the community. You bang on. We feel like we're a bit behind given that, your primos haven't really performed. Our top two, Butters and Bontempelli, had really slow starts the year as well. They weren't available till round 4, I think it was. So when you've got your top two priced players in SuperCoach, and they're playing like it at the moment now, but unless you bought them in early, you're not playing them at the moment, are you?
Nah, I did see, I think the second team who got a huge score this week does have Butters, but doesn't have Sheasel. So, I don't know how they went about getting Butters. Maybe they thought Sheasel's role wasn't going to hold and went something like a Sheasel to Butters last week. I'm completely making an assumption there, so I don't know. But to get Butters or Bont, you're going to have to be doing something creative at the minute because they're, way too highly priced to just bring in from rookies. That's for sure.
For sure. If you haven't yet, please give us the thumbs up, ladies and gentlemen. Like, subscribe, and bell if you haven't already. And if you listen to us on audio, give us that 5-star review. helps us get out into the algorithm that is AFL SuperCoach with a little bit of banter thrown in there. Now, Hurls, let's dip straight into your backline, mate. So you got Whitfield, Sheasel, Zorko, Roberts, Bice, Pryor, Trainer, Allen. How much has that changed from the start of the year?
A little bit. So my starting backline was 2 primos, 2 mid-prices, 4 rookies. And so after Perryman shit the bed in week 2 or 3 or whatever it was,
right.
I started proactively restructuring. So I went Perryman down to a midfielder, and then the midfielder up to Whitfield to just restructure that whole line, and ended up now in the place where I've got your 3 genuine keepers, I think, in Whitfield, Sheasel, Zorko. I think they're probably still tracking, even though Zorko's been a little frustrating and even Sheasel's had a couple of down weeks. I think they're probably going to be in your top 6. Roberts is currently D9, which has been maybe the surprise packet. And we'll talk a little bit about my plan in a moment. But Roberts is one of those ones that certainly coming into the year I was counting as a stepping stone. And with the real struggle with cash, he might be one that we might have to say, let's just hold him till last and make it a D6 luxury trade kind of operation, because maybe we have to make some sacrifices like that.
I mean, if you're scoring like Roberts and Bice did on the weekend, both of them are your last 2 moving pieces, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely, in that back line. And we will talk about that too, because Bice is another one. And because a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of the trade outs this week, people putting Ashcroft in their trade outs and not necessarily Bice yet, but I imagine Bice will come soon. If you're going to Ashcroft this week to get cash, you must be on the verge of having to go to Bice soon. They're certainly not the way I'm going to tackle this strategy. And so there's different ways you can skin a cat. I'm just going to show people how I'm planning to do it. And I'm certainly holding Bice and Ashcroft longer than I otherwise would like to, because I think they're my 2 most trustworthy rookies.
Yep. How do you see Whitfield? So struggled a little bit on the weekend, but he has been pumping out some monster scores. Regardless of what he gets to now, and there are some people that you see in the community that are looking at trading him out, which I think is ridiculous, but he's just one that you keep there.
Yeah. Now's not the time of year to be trading out anyone who you're considering a keeper. Now, there's some exceptions to the rule. If you had your mind set on people like Tom Stewart, maybe Daly Bale, that they're probably the 2 that I can think of straight off the top of my head, where people that had their thoughts that they were keepers, where you're starting to get a bit nervous. Even with them, I would probably say, I mean, Stewart, if he's injured and out again, that's an easy trade. But if, Daly Bale, for example, probably has to hold now. You can't, I don't think, and I'm going to show people what my trade plans look like in a moment, and how much money and how many trades I think it's going to take me to get to full primo.
Yep.
And I don't think you can afford too many luxuries right at the minute, to be completely fair.
No. So we see your midfield there. I like the way that you've held Allen. Yeah, he's not playing, but they've got a ton of Sunday games coming up, and that's perfect if he's not playing as a loop option. So
yeah, this week was the first week we've been able to take advantage, and I really did enjoy. I had the emergency on Trainer 66. I was able to then make a decision: do I play Trainer or Pryor? I had the same luxury with Lindsay in my midfield at 78, and with the emergency, and because Clay Hall isn't in either, I could sort of play Lindsay. So I do like having a couple, and you'll see in my team, I've got what I call 3 dead rookies: Allen, Hall, and Boyd. If you've got more than that, I genuinely would be concerned. I'm probably thinking that's one too many, but Boyd's Boyd. We're not going to do anything there.
No.
But cash gen's going to be a problem. And if you've got a whole midfield bench out and, Allen, and I don't know where you're going to get your trades from and your cash from, but that's another story.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I'm much the same. I've got Allen, Angus Hasty from St Kilda, and Boyd as well. So 3's probably not too bad because you're still generating money elsewhere. But you probably don't want to be carrying too much more than that. So we see here with your midfield, mate, Brayshaw, who's been absolutely sensational this year. And, well, is it luck? Is it fate? What is it? He's on the 666s, 666 this week. Dacos there as well. Then you got Merritt, Neal, and Oliver. So you probably say Brayshaw, Dacos, Merritt, Neal are your definite holds for the year.
Yeah, I'm calling 4 keepers there. I'm not calling Oliver a hold at all.
No.
I don't think he's a hold. I'm calling him a stepping stone at this stage. And then obviously the 3 rookies are still there.
100%. So then with Oliver, we've had some questions within the community this week about Oliver and what you do with him. Against West Coast, you've just got to hold him, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And I'll talk to people about my plans. Like ideally the next 4 weeks, my plan is you can see if you look at my team structure, I've got at the moment the F6 spot, I've got M6 to 8, and I've got D5 and 6. So we'll count Bice for now because he started as a rookie. So I've currently got, what's that make it, 6 rookies on field. My plan by the bye is to make that 2, and the only 2 rookies being Ashcroft and Bice.
Okay.
To do that, ideally, I want to use all of the other rookie cash generation to be able to turn 4 players into fallen primos. It's going to be a stretch, though. When I was doing the sums, it's bloody hard. And what we might have to do, and this is where I'll make some decisions in the next couple of weeks, maybe one of those might have to be an Oliver to get somebody to preserve the cash out of, for example, in my team, and others might be a bit different, but after this week, I'll probably trade Reed and Davidson this week. So they're my 2, what I'm calling fattened cash cows that I'm going to get rid of. That'll get me Petrarca, right? That's my plan at this stage. Then the next rookies that I want to go to are Pryor, Trainer, Hewitt, Cleary, Stone, Kako, but none of them really are ready.
They're not ready yet,
and each week that might change. Like Pryor might be ready next week, but he might not. He might get a 70 and then he's not ready. So maybe the plan might have to pivot a little bit, and it might be next week, instead of using 2 rookies to get Sinclair, or it'd probably be a boost to get 3 because I don't have the cash in the bank, it might need to be an Oliver up. And I might have to just suck it up to say that's not really taking the extra rookie off the field early enough, but I have to wait for those cash generators to generate the cash I need, because if I cull them early, I'm going to pay for that later.
100%. Yeah. So see Oliver there at M, what's that, 5, Ashcroft, Reed, and Lindsay. Lindsay's a nice little one if you held on to him, but I do want to ask you, and Hewitt, sorry, for those listening to us on audio, Hewitt, Kako, and Clay Hall on the bench. Lindsay's an interesting one because with the lack of downgrade options that the community have in the midfield this week, and at only 227K, and his scoring potential, is that someone that you could potentially look to downgrade into, or the extra 100K that he is on top of, say, your Hustwaite, is that too far to go and you're just burning cash that way?
So you mean bring him in?
Yeah.
Look, it's probably you can bucket a few players in this category, right? I think there's some teams might be looking for some cash. And there's Lindsay, there's Sardis, if he's named on Thursday night, who's on the bubble at 191. There's still Will White at 180 at Carlton. It's probably not going to make as much, but he's still attainable, if you like. Yeah, he's still playing. Maybe if Carroll now stays in the team, even though we thought he didn't have job security, maybe some people want to take that risk. I don't mind it. I think the 2 that I would preference, though, would be Lindsay and Sardis, because that's assuming Sardis is back in, because they probably have better roles. They probably have better job security. They might be $100,000 cash grab. The hard part in doing it is if you went, say, Davo down to Lindsay, you're probably only doing that if you're making 1 trade only this week, because you're going to bank 100, because 100's not enough to do your upgrade. And this is where some people, I think, are maybe tripping over a bit, because they're going, all right, I want a safer rookie, so I don't want to go down to Hustwaite or Buslinger yet, because they're not on the bubble. So I'll go Lindsay because he's making cash, or I'll go Sardis because he's making cash. But then they're forced to use Ashcroft or something like that, and I think that's going to be an error in the medium term, I think. But each to their own. Sometimes we've got no choice. Sometimes you have to use whatever you've got, right? So I don't know.
We see Maxi and TDK there. For those that have, I guess, 2 of the 3 have gone to Koning and Cherry, I wouldn't be trading Tom De Koning out at the moment, given the form that he's in and near enough to the R1, isn't he? Is it Gawn, TDK, then Cherry? They're the top three.
Yeah, Gawn jumped TDK this week. He's 3
That's
points
right.
ahead, and Sherry's only 12 points behind. So they're
There you go.
the three of them neck and neck. I think Sherry is going to hurt if you could get him this week. Like if we didn't have the Flynn play last week, going like an Oliver to Sherry this week in flex would have been so bloody nice.
Yeah.
But because we went Flynn and we had to because of the cash,
for sure,
I can't get Sherry in. That's
and Flynn does still have a negative 45 break even. So if he scores the way he did last week for the next 3 weeks, he's going to be 500k.
Yeah, you couldn't miss those cash cows.
No, what you say and what you refer to these people as is they're a gift. Marriage was a gift. Yeah. For me, Ned Long was a gift.
Yeah,
so
I missed that one, and I wish I didn't.
Yeah, we've had gifts throughout the season, but Matt Flynn was just that gift that he only needs to play for the next 3 weeks to get into 500k. For us, we're not West Coast supporters, so he can do what he wants after that. But
exactly.
if he gets to 500k, if he was 500k this week, you could trade Flynn to Dawson. You could trade Flynn to Petraka. They're the types of primos. If Sinclair plays forward the next couple of weeks, like training would have been like today at the St Kilda Footy Club, Sinclair could be 520k in a couple of weeks. So this is what we need to sort of have the foresight to be able to see that, all right, if this guy's hanging around for 3 or 4 weeks, if he gets X amount of coin, then where do I go to from there? So
yeah. And I'm going to show you in a minute that my team, I think, is going to cost me 1.7 mil to upgrade. Okay. And without having Flynn, Marich, Roberts, Oliver, Bice, I can only imagine teams that don't have those stepping stones going to cost them 2 and a bit mil. Like it's just, it's just expensive. So I think that they're gifts, like you said. I agree.
Yeah. Your forwards pretty stock standard when we're talking SuperCoach at this time of year. For those that are at the pointy end, Rankin, Smith, McRae, Daniel, Marich, Davidson. You and I both. Flynn in the flex. You and I we both traded out Pickles. Jason Horne-Francis. And for me, so the 2 regrets I had this year, which looking back, foresight's 2020, isn't it? Or hindsight, sorry, is 2020. Rosie as well. So we saw that he was struggling with the tag through the midfield. He had 166 break even, I think it was, when I traded him out. And looking back, I wish I had have just held him for 1 more week and then saw him in that half back role. It is what it is, and we move on. But yeah, they're probably the 2 big ones for me that I messed up on this year. But you got to be willing to, forget about that and just work with what you've got. And if you trade them out, you've traded them out for a reason. If Rosie is at 530k, for example, and gets DPP, then that could be an option to finish our backline.
Yeah, you bring him back. I made 3 errors this year. The same 2 players you just said. One for good reason, one for not so good reason. I'll maintain till the cows come home. Rosie was an okay trade at the time I made it because the week after he went back, I wasn't to know that. That's life. At that stage, I was making my restructure. I went Rosie to Whitfield. I'd make that trade again every day of the week, even though it has now in hindsight become an error. Pickles was an error because of emotion, and we all sort of hated the way he went about it, but probably should have just not done it. That was probably a mistake. Pau Pepper was a mistake that's cost me more than any of those 2 put together. But again, at the time, with an 18, an 80, and a 50 or whatever he got, on the data, I'd make that trade again. So, so be it. Sometimes you just get lucky and sometimes you get unlucky.
Yeah, I held him, and it was out of necessity more than anything because I was trading out. Can't remember who I was trading out, but I just couldn't make it work, and I needed someone to stay in my forward line. So Pau Pepper stayed, and for the past 3 weeks, he's rewarded me with, I think, 2 tons and a 98. So
absolutely,
it's the gift that keeps on giving at the moment. Cleary and Stone on your bench. Stone, for those that held, he's restarted his cash gen now.
Oh, geez, I hope that Kingsley goes with Himmelberg on a wing again, because I think that was the big catalyst for Stone getting more of the footy. And if he could get just 2 more 70s or something, it'd be bloody gold, because I thought he was going to be a dead rook. But now it looks like at least we'll be able to squeeze some cash out of him. And I think this is where it's like, don't worry about the players so much. I think if you're looking at this team and you're at home, compared to yours, I think what I'd be getting you to look at isn't the players, because we'll have some different players here and there. It's what does your bench rookie health look like?
Yeah.
If you've got, like at the moment, what I'm calling my bench is Stone and Cleary are going to net me some good cash, even though I don't want to trust them on field. Boyd's dead. Hall's dead. Kako's slow burn, but he'll net me some cash. Hewitt's going to net me some good cash. Bo Allen's dead, but he's a loop. And Trainer's a good rookie to net me some cash. You have to turn the bench cash into keepers, not the only ones on the field. Because if all of your bench is dead, and it's not going to be long before your on-field rookies, when you go one down, one up for the next 2 weeks, they're all now exhausted. Where do you go next?
That's right.
That's the hard part.
That's right. So
do we want to have a look at? Sorry.
Yeah. Just for the audio listeners, Hurls has done a little graphic up on the side of his team here, where in 2024 he had 15,177 points, so roughly 200 points behind where he is at this stage. He was 95th overall this time last year. This year he's just inside the top 3K, which is inside the top 2%. And the big one that we can see this year, your cash value of your team last year was 13.151 million. This year you are $651,000 poorer.
Yes. And I'm just looking at some of the top teams today. I'm about 300,000 or 400,000 behind the top teams on this year's numbers. So you can almost forget last year, because I think everyone's down on last year. But sure, the best teams this year look like they're up at around the 12.8, 12.9 mark, and I'm at 12.5. So this is the hard part about when you're trying to catch up and your value isn't as high as others. They've got better cows to cull, and they've got maybe already better keepers, or maybe, like I've got 6 rookies on field, they might have 4. There's some teams that have got 4 and got their value spread differently. So that's just some things to consider. That's all.
For sure. And at the bottom of the graphic, before we do go to the next page, Hurls, you're considering in your team of 31, that you've got 13 keepers, 4 stepping stones, and 14 rookies still inside your team.
Yeah, which means my whole goal for the next sort of, let's call it till round 17, when the buys are done, is to get 10 additional keepers. That's the whole point that we're trying to make here, that we want to go from whatever we had at the start, and I've currently got 13, what I'm calling keepers. I've got to get to 23, and you got to hope that then the ones that you pick are the right ones. And the other one to just keep in mind here, because I hear a lot of people at this time of year saying, oh, is he top 6? Is he top 8? All this kind of stuff. And then they look at historical numbers. What you're really chasing is who's going to be the top 6 from the time you trade them in, not the top 6 for the year. Because someone that's top 6 for the year might not matter if someone's better in the next 15 weeks, right? So it's hard to predict. We're all playing the crystal ball game, but that's how it is.
Yep. You can see here that you've got the cost about 1.73 mil as our late arriver, but I messed up on times. Deadly has turned up. How you doing, brother?
Don't you dare ever call me a late arriver again after what you've done to me today.
I stitched him up because I said it was at 8:30 and we went live at 8 o'clock. So my apologies to the great man. But we see here the cost for you to upgrade your team from here, Hurls, 1.73 mil. So you've got 20 to 23 trades, all going well with Bont and Butters in your side at around 600K. They will drop price at some stage. We've just got to grab them when the time is right. But you've also got in here cost estimates from current projections. So you can see here that from Roberts up to your D4 is going to cost you an extra 50K. Your D5 is going to cost you extra 100K. And that's where you've gone with the numbers there. Is that fairly self-explanatory, or did you want to go into the numbers there?
I'll just give people a little bit of understanding of what I did. Now, there's many ways you can work this out. This is the most simple way I could put it on a visual, so I thought do it this way. So if you're seeing the screen and you're watching us on YouTube, I've highlighted my stepping stones in gold, and I've highlighted my rookies that need to be upgraded in red. And I've tried to then figure out, well, all right, Roberts at the moment's 480,000. If I want to get a a fallen primo. I'm just taking a bit of a finger in the air approach to someone at about 530. So that's going to cost me 50K. So you'll see my D4 cost is 50,000. Then Bice, who's, he's I thought we'll get to 400. I've said I've got to chuck 100 on his head to get to a D5, etc. So that's how I've sort of calculated it. The trouble is, and here's where it gets a little complex, and hopefully people can follow. If you're taking 2 on-field blokes this week, which I'm going to do, so I'm going to take Reed and Davidson most likely this week because they are my most fattened cows. They add up to about 618,000 in value, and I'm going to turn them into Petrarca and a rookie. And so what that then means is someone from the bench slots into the other spot. So Petrarca goes in, and I don't have to touch him, but my M8 changes then from Lindsay at 270 to Hewitt at 220. So I have to find that cash from a lower rookie. And this is what I mean by, if you're bringing in new blokes, we need these new blokes to make 150K, not just our current blokes.
That's
and
right.
This is where the rookie crisis lies. It's not in our current rookies. I think our current rookies are fine. It's, does Buslinger, does Hustwaite, does whoever else comes next that we bring in, do they make 150, or do they only make 50 and die like Clay Hall did? And if they all just make 50 and die, we're in all sorts.
It brings up a very good point, and Deadly and I have had conversations about this in the past. You've really only got, Hustwaite, Buslinger, if you want to go early. You've got Oscar McDonald, but he's probably going to get dropped this week, isn't he, Deadly, for Luke Jackson? Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, I don't think he's got a chance of keeping his spot, to be honest.
So I know it's kind of a race, Hurls, to get your team to full primo, I guess, as quickly as you can. But if you're to say, hypothetically, if people are looking to go Pryor and Ashcroft out, and then you've got Petrarca coming in and you've got Hustwaite coming in, right? So you're getting rid of 2 fattened-ish cash cows or rookies, bringing in one that is a primo. Petrarca is a primo, especially with that mid-forward DPP. But then you got Hustwaite, who, like, for all we know, Connor Nash could be straight back in. He could lose his spot and make 40K, and that's it. Yeah. So is that a calculated? Is that a calculated risk, or is that something that we should go? Well, it's not as easy as just going, righto, Petrarca, you're in. Yep, we're going early on another bloke. What are we doing?
I think you have to look a few weeks ahead. And what I've tried to do here is show people what my current planning is. Doesn't mean it will stay this way, because I'm already thinking, and I did this page yesterday, and I'm already thinking that if Sardis is named, I might just do one trade this week, and it might just be Murphy Reed to Sardis, bank the cash, and know that Sardis is more likely to make more cash than anyone else. Then next week, take the punt on Buslinger and Hustwaite, probably, because I'll need to do a boost to get an upgrade to either a Petrarca for 20K more or a Sinclair for 20K less than this week. So I think you just have to have a couple of ideas in your head of which way you're going to go. Now, I would like, and this is what I've got, my plan on the screen is that round 8, 9, 10, 11, I upgrade one a week, because I really want no more than 2 rookies left at the round 12 bye. And this plan gets me to that. But I don't know if we've got the rookies coming through to get there, so I don't want to be too set on it. I don't know if I'm going to have to do something like I just outlined, where I go to Sardis for cash gen rather than a 120K rookie. And I don't know if maybe I'm going to have to burn Oliver early because we don't have the rookies to go to. So I need to go up from Oliver instead and use a stepping stone rather than 2 rooks. So everything changes, but you've got to have a plan. If you don't think the 3 or 4 options through a couple of weeks ahead, I think you're going to make some moves and then go, oh, shit, now what?
Yeah, that's right. So, Deadly, you're all over everything VFL, Waffle, Sandful. Is there anyone jumping out at us? Because before you do, there is one name that I want to bring up. And I have been doing a little bit of digging here. He hasn't had a lot of game time, and that's Sid Draper from the Adelaide Crows Hurls. He's 168K. He's got a break even of 87. So if he scores, they project him to score 32 this week. So if he does that, he goes down to about 135K next week. Could that be a potential downgrade option if he doesn't have the vest, or is his role at the moment just dog shit, I guess, with the way Adelaide Crows are structuring up?
I think if you thought that maybe Nix wasn't going to sub him and stuff, then he's an option because he can score. But he's shown in 7 weeks so far that he's going to be subbed all the time. So I don't know, Deadly, if you have a different view to that, but that would be my worry there.
Deadly?
Yeah, no, he's a big worry for me. He's not in the top 20, 22 most weeks. If they've got a full healthy squad, he's not top 22, and that's just how it is right now. Look, he's just going to get chopped and changed different positions every single week to accommodate who they need to. He's not one I'm particularly looking at, but it might be one we just be forced into.
Yep. I also like that you've got in here, Hurls, that we may need to get creative with our cash gen this year, and that is that we've got the likes of Callum Mills, we've got the likes of Mateus Philippou, who are all due back within the next, we'll say month, especially with Mills. He's an older body, so we don't know when he's going to come back. But with Philippou, if he comes back and plays that midfield role, you'd know more than I, Deadly, because you are all over everything behind the scenes with AFL clubs. Could he be that downgrade target that could be, scoring like a primo?
Philippou has to pass a fitness test this week to play his first game.
So is he going to be straight back into the ones, or will he come back through the through the twos? Yeah, it's Sandringham, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is that Melbourne?
Sandy. It sounds like he's straight back into the ones straight away, from what I'm hearing. As long as he passes, he's straight in.
And the timing might be all right with someone like him. If we see that he's getting some CBAs, it might be, and this is where I sort of said at the bottom, sometimes we might have to be a bit creative. Maybe it's in 2 weeks' time, Marich has got to his break even. And we might say, all right, you know what? I'm going to go Marich to Philippou. It's not costing me that many points because Philippou can score 80s as well. And I'm going to then ride that train for another 150,000. I'm going to cash in the 200 that it gets me, or whatever the difference is in price at that stage, to use in one upgrade. And I'm going to then ride the Philippou stepping stone train. Now, the only thing is that burns more trades. We would prefer not to do things like that, because at this stage of the year, you'd prefer to be only bringing in either rookies that are regenerating or keepers. But we might have no choice. We might have to do some things like that.
As long as he stays healthy. We saw last year that he had a really nice stretch, didn't he, Deadly, where he scored, there was a couple of hundreds in a row. Like he went 112, 101, then got Crook, came back for one game, scored 85, then got Crook again, scored 80 to finish the year. So if he can put a good string of games together playing midfield, he does have that potential to be an F6 if he's pumping out hundreds like on average.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. He's got the potential to do it. And I would love to see the first 2 weeks before I jump on him. He's definitely not one I'm going early on. But he's definitely one that could be a good option there.
Yeah. So, same as Mills. I think people were talking about him, and I think he had a little injury. He hasn't passed any of the training yet this week, so he's definitely not in for another couple. But even when he comes back, I'm treating him like a rookie in that I want to see 2 games. I want to see the role. I want to see what's going on first. I'm not just going to jump on blind because it's Callum Mills, because because he could score 100 a few years ago, it's a different year, right? It's a different coach. It's a different setup.
We've seen, not so much this year with your elite talent in Butters and Bontempelli, but with some of the older guys coming in that have had late starts this season, it takes a couple of weeks to get your legs underneath you to get up to the pace of the AFL footy. And for Callum Mills, who's someone that hasn't played a lot of footy in the past, we'll say 18 months even, it is going to take time. So if you see him named and you think, fuck yeah, I'm jumping on straight away, I'd probably warn against it, because he may even be a sub candidate to start early on as well.
Yeah.
What do you got next, Hurls?
Probably just to summarize this last one before I move, a couple of really key points people should be considering. If you see my numbers here, I'm saying fallen primos between 480 and 540. The minute you start reaching higher than 540, all of these numbers change and it gets even harder. But I have planned for the 2 spots. If Bont and Butters get to 600, I'll pay for those 2. But only 600. I'm not paying 640 either for them. Like, you just got to be calculated with who you're bringing in now. So that's
Spot
probably
on,
all
mate.
for that. The last one is just showing people, because the buys is a really big consideration for me as well when you're doing all these upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was doing these plans, I think I'm set on 2 of these upgrades happening in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Petrarca and Sinclair are 2 that I really want. So I think those 2 will happen. Whether it takes me 2 weeks to get there or 3 will depend on cash.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other 2 that I've just slated as potentials are Dawson and Heaney. And people in the community might go, what the hell, Dawson? We've been bagging his disposal efficiency all week and all that kind of stuff. There's a couple of reasons for this. One, the disposal efficiency in a player is something that you can ride out at 460, 480K. If he's getting a 70 followed by 130, and you've paid 480, it doesn't hurt as much as if you've played 580. So if we've got enough value, I might go there. The other thing where I've gone Dawson and Heaney is because of my buy structure, and I'm really trying to tackle round 12 with only 3 keepers. And the 3 keepers I'm talking about in my team will be Sheasel, De Koning, Caleb Daniel. And I'm really, like, you'll see that I've said in my buy structure, I've got 3 keepers from round 12, 3 keepers from round 13, 4 keepers from round 14, 6 keepers from round 15, and 7 keepers from round 16. As I've been restructuring and as I continue to keep trading, I'm purposefully back-ending it like this, because as I build more keepers, I think that's where I can cope with 6 and 7 in round 15 and 16. And I want the light load in the start end. So I don't know if it's too late for them, but this is how I've been planning my whole year so far already, so that I can back end the buys and make sure that I'm not relying on rookies to fluke a score in those early buy rounds.
Deadly, I want to ask you about the Adelaide Crows, and I like that you brought up Dawson, and we'll touch on this more tomorrow night, Hurls. But Nick Murray's just been ruled out for a month with a knee complaint. Are the whispers of Dawson going back true? I know they're looking at bringing someone into defence, whether it's Jordan Butts to take over as a key position defender, or whether they roll with Keane and whoever else they've got down there. Josh Worrell's a pretty handy defender too. Do they go Dawson and Laird across half-back and bring in another midfielder, or what do they do there?
I'll tell you, I can almost pinpoint exactly what's about to happen here.
Okay.
Because Mitch Hinge is also suspended for a week. Rookie Charlie Edwards is very likely to make his debut this week, I reckon. And Dawson would be the other one to go back as well.
There you go.
I heard some other people talking about, is there a possibility, and I think he's going to get up, they're talking about Thilthorpe's finger.
Yeah.
Is there a chance, because Dawson played a little bit of forward time as well last year, this could be the other risk with him. If they put him forward, you don't want a bar of it. If they put him back, I'd love it. I called that last week in the review show. If they put him to back behind the ball, I reckon his disposal efficiency spikes 10% in a heartbeat, and he becomes viable. But let's watch this space, I suppose.
Yeah, it might be starting a bit late for around 12 DPP, but still, if you're scoring 110, 115s off the halfback flank, you'll take that as a 480K midfielder every day of the week.
I'd be comfortable with him as my M8 if he went behind the ball, even for half a game every week, just to get some disposal back. Yeah.
Yep. Is there anything else you want to touch on here, mate?
No, probably the only other thing here, won't get into the technicalities, but what I am different this year to last year, by the end of the first week of the buys, I had no rookies on the field. But this year it looks like, unless some miracle happens, I'm going to be left with Bice and Ashcroft, and the rest of them being sort of some stepping stones. But I think that's just how it is this year. I don't think I'm going to get it any more advanced than that. There's only 4 more weeks of playing before the round 12 bye, and there's no way I'm getting more than 4 more rookies off the field. So if I can get to there, that's where I'm going to have to be happy.
That'd be a beautiful thing, 100%. Deadly, is there anything else you want to touch on before we move on to the subscriber Q&As?
If you want, I can give you a few guys that I think are basically exactly, I don't know, knocking on the door for debuts, could debut in the next couple of weeks. I'll give you
a few. Go for it, because we need some debuts, definitely.
Yeah, I'll give you a few. So Charlie Edwards is one. I don't think he's going to be an option, though. It's probably just a 1 weeker.
Mm-hmm.
Who else have we got here? Jasper, I don't even know how to say his last name. Shafe.
Scaife from Hawthorn. Yep.
Yeah, from Richmond. Yeah, he just kicked.
Is it Richmond?
No, Hawthorn. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he just kicked 6 in the VFL, and 2 injuries could potentially see a down back move. Him moving forward line.
Mm-hmm.
Job Shanahan's probably real close for West Coast to get one.
He's been dominating the waffle, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been real good in the waffle. I can't remember his name. Charlie West. If they don't pick Mason Cox for McStay's injury, which they probably will, it'll be Charlie West, but I think they'll probably just pick Cox. But he's not far off either. And the last one I'll bring up is an Essendon boy, Zach Johnson, who just had 35 touches in the VFL. And Scotty has said that he's very close to making a debut, and it's sooner than we expect.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that. Have you got the subscriber Q&As there, Deadly? I'll let you run with them, mate.
Yeah, I'll get them up really quickly. Give me about 5 seconds here.
No, you're right. You're happy with the way your team's structured up so far, Hurls, with the I guess the rookie crisis that we've got at the moment?
Look, you have to be, don't you? I think this is the thing. The one thing I've tried to do, and I have burnt a couple of trades over the last couple of weeks, going to Elijah Hewitt, who was 180 when I bought him back in. I'm considering doing it with Sardis. I'm really particular about my rookie health, and I always, like, I've moved Moraes to Hewitt. I'm considering moving someone like Murphy Reed this week to Sardis, because if I can see a path where some rookie is going to be better than just going to the cheapest who has no job security, I'll take it. So I think that's a consideration for some people. Yes, we want to upgrade, but cash gen is so critical. And if hopefully what you've been able to see by my illustration tonight is that we do have a problem if we don't get our new rookies making 150K. So if you find some that are going to make you 150, even if it slows down your progress, I think this year it's a really good sort of reminder. Maybe we have to just slow down our upgrade cadence a little bit, even if it takes 3 weeks instead of 2 to get your 2 primos, just to get that rookie bench right.
Yep, spot on. If you've got them there, Deadly.
Yep.
We'll get into the subscriber Q&A.
It's question time. Let's answer your questions for the week ahead.
I'm going to ditch this slide now and just get our ugly mugs on the screen.
We can, yeah. So
they're gorgeous.
We've got some new slides coming in tomorrow night too, ladies and gentlemen. We have a new candidate for the Cone of the Week, so you're not going to want to miss that 8 o'clock live here on YouTube, X, or wherever you decide to watch us on. Deadly, go ahead with the subscriber Q&A. So if you're a part of the Patreon and a part of the WhatsApp group, you get first preference each week to your questions being answered. You also get access to the professionals in there 24/7 to help you attain as good of a rank as you can in SuperCoach with your trades, strategy, and all that sort of jazz. Go for it.
All right, from Rick Edwards. In regards to Chera, if suspension stands, would love a discussion on keeping versus trading Chera. And if you keep him, would you do so through the buys?
Great question.
Yeah.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go, mate.
I think there's two options with Chera. I agree with him. If you're keeping, you're holding for all the way through to at least the round 16 game against West Coast. Mm-hmm. So he's got a round 12 bye. So you hold for the suspension this week. You put a rookie on field. You then go all the way through all of the buys to round 16 against West Coast, and he covers you for 4 of the 5 buys or whatever there is.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were going to get rid of him anyway, he is missing. If the suspension stays, he's missing this week and round 12. So that's 2 out of the next 5 that he's missing. So if you were definitely set on moving him in the near future, then you can go this week. But I think it's one of the 2, this week or round 16.
Yep. I like that you brought that up because I'm of the belief that he's got 2 games off in the next 3. You could potentially go Chera and a fattened rookie up to, if you wanted to go the Bontempelli play before he increases in cash, he could be 700K at the end of this weekend. Then just go now. Go and grab him and then keep Bontempelli for the year.
So, yeah, it's gutsy, but you can do it.
Yep.
Yep.
Deadly, next one, mate.
All right, from Byron. How long do we keep Clary, or is he a keeper? I'm not going to read the last part of it because he's bagging me out.
Okay. He's not a keeper. I want to see how he goes this weekend against West Coast. If he wasn't playing West Coast this week, he would probably be a trade out for me. But given that they give up bulk numbers to midfielders, he could be in for a spike score this week.
Yeah, one exception to the rule. So I agree he's not a keeper, and I'll probably trade him out in the next 3 or 4. The one exception is if you don't think you're going to get to full primo because of your rookie situation, then he's not that bad to hold as M8, right? I mean, if he was your M8, it's not the end of the world. He's still going to get you 95s, 105s. Maybe, who knows? Maybe he comes good later on. But I think I'm in the same camp as you. I'll probably move him.
Lovely.
Go, Deadly.
What's the amount of trades we should aim to have left after we get a full primo team?
6.
Anywhere
I'm
from
not going to have
4 to 6.
I'm not going to have that many. I reckon I'm going to have 3, but I think I would love to have 6 because round 17, round 17 is when you want to probably be there. So you got still 8 weeks to go. You'd love 6 trades.
I think that I can get there 5 to 6, injuries dependent, of course.
Yeah.
Lovely. All right. From Corey, when do we think the right time is to trade Marich? Also, actually, we'll start with that. When's the right time to trade Marich?
Not yet.
Nah, I think
not with that role.
And not with until the break even starts to look like an 80 or a 90. And then you might start considering it. But even then, it depends what your team looks like and what your cadence looks like and what you're going to do. Like we discussed earlier, there is the option maybe marriage to someone like Philippou if the timing aligned and all of that kind of stuff. That could happen. But, yeah, he's the least of your problems.
Yep.
Yeah. And then he also asked, what is the best way to use 3 boosts at this time of the year to gain ranks? Have to
smash them out.
Yeah, get him going. Try and get up to the bottom of butters.
I'm of the view.
Yeah. Go, you go first.
No, I was going to say I'm of the view that boosts are of no use to anyone between round 12 and 16. Yeah. You already got 3 trades, so I don't really care for them then. And after round 16, you're not going to have enough trades left to use a boost. So if you've got 3 left and there's now 4 rounds between now and round 12, I'm using 3 boosts in the next 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. Brody asked me, is Jaden sure to sell? Yes. Move on. What's Rosie's mid-defender split sitting at? Do you have the numbers there, Horse? Exactly?
No, I don't, but he's on track to get DPP in round 12 if this role persists.
Someone said, and it was quite logical in our chat, I think today or yesterday, he's got to play 5 quarters out of the next 3 matches to play 35% of the 11 games that he plays by round 12, which sounded pretty logical to me. So if it's 5 quarters out of the next 12, you just watch out for that.
Alrighty. Matt Roberts is currently the 9th highest averaging defender. At what point do we decide to leave him in as D6?
Hurls has already addressed that, but just if he's pumping out hundreds, we just leave him there.
Yeah.
He'll be my last stepping stone I touch. If I touch him at all, he might end up D6.
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. All right. And then Kizner asked, this is the final one. Not SuperCoach relevant, but seeing as there's 3 Bombers supporters on the pod right now, who is your favourite Bombers player growing up? And then he puts Deadly can only pick from the 2025 squad as he was only born last year.
Growing up. You go, Horse.
Yeah, I have a pretty close mate who watches the show religiously, who did play quite a few games for Essendon. So I'll shout out to the big man, Aaron Henneman. How you doing, big guy? I'm going to say he's my favourite because I know he watches. But if he wasn't watching, I would probably say Mark McCurry, James Hurd, Dustin Fletcher. They're probably my top 3.
So old.
Yeah. Mine were growing up. I was obsessed with Tim Watson.
Yeah.
When I was sort of 6, 7, 8 years old, was the 84, 85 flags, and I was obsessed with Tim Watson. Then it went to Gavin Wanganeen, and I think I did cry the day he left. And then James Hurd, and now I'm gonna shout out to someone who's a bit unique that maybe people won't think of, but Archie Roberts. I listened to an interview he did with Cal Toomey in his draft year before the draft, and I loved everything about him. And I said to all my mates, I want us to draft this bloke. I hope we draft him. And when we traded up to get him, I was like high-fiving. So I love him. I reckon he's a ripper.
Yeah. And I think Zach Johnson's about to be a fan favourite as well, Deadly.
Yeah, I think you're right. For me, it's pretty standard for my years. Joe Danaher, when he was first coming through at Essendon, he looked the goods. And I always loved David Zaharakis just for that goal.
Zaharakis.
And then
Sam Durham's my favourite at the moment, just like she just said.
Yeah, right now, my favourite player. My favourite player right now. See, it's hard because we've got Bendigo legend Archer Day Wicks, or we've got Old Gold. No, my favourite player is Zach Merritt. He's my favourite player in the comp. So
yeah,
it's
good.
Fair.
All right, let's get into the questions that are in the chat. Cheese are just Hurls on top where he belongs. Horse, yep. We'll let you sit at the top for most of tonight until.
Oh, was I at the top of the thing? I didn't notice.
Yeah. Greek Raven. Hey guys, a really bad week for me. 2-3-7-3. That's not that bad, mate. Thanks to the likes of Dale, Merritt, Rowell. They'll turn it around. I wouldn't be too worried, brother. Thanks for tuning in.
It's a hard thing. Sometimes just bad luck, right?
It is.
It could happen. What you have to hope for is it happens the other way around one other week where the big uniques that everyone else has got shit the bed and yours go nuts and you catch that 140 up or whatever.
For sure. Big Kev. How you doing, Kev? Hi, boys. Why are so many looking to bring in C. Warner? I think people are getting sucked in because of his spike scoring ability and forgetting the low 60s that he can punch out from time to time.
Yeah. I called him a trap the other night. I just don't think he's consistent enough. I get it. He's got higher CBAs now in the last 2 weeks. So the logic says you can think he's going to get better scores, but I don't trust him.
No. And then TR comes in and says few people are chasing points on Warner, but some may be going him because of the contract extension followed up by that performance. Yeah, you're right. It could be, but I want to see it a little more consistently and happy to pay the extra, especially for someone who is as inconsistent as he has been in the past. Nathan Simpson, how you doing, mate? Pepper Pig, Sam Pell Pepper is a gift. He has been a gift that's deadly. He continues to give.
No, you're not getting a bar out of me with that bloke.
He's my F6 at the moment, and he'll be over 400k.
He should have lost all of his SuperCoach points for that kick into the man of the mark from 8 meters out on the weekend.
Terrible,
that was shit house.
He could have been 110, yeah. Nikhil Patel, how you doing, mate? What primos do we target over this week and next? Might not trade this week. Don't see anything appealing. Mate, I was with you at one stage. I still might not trade, or I might. I haven't totally made up my mind yet, but I think the big ones are probably Petrarca, Dawson. I also like, not this week, but the week after, Max Holmes or Jack Sinclair if he drops as well, depending on what role Sinclair's got at St Kilda. But Maxi Holmes, he's got 160-something break even this week. He won't get to that, I don't believe. And then you've got Petrarca and Dawson. We could see a spike score out of Dawson if he goes back and a new role change like Rosie. And with Petrarca, that body language just looks so much better now.
Yeah. For me, it's track this week or only a rookie. So I'll either go up if I upgrade, it's track, and then Sinclair's on my radar next.
Yep. I think this is directed to you, Deadly. We stitched you up last week by beating him and telling you the wrong time for the pod this week.
It wasn't the wrong time. So I explained the situation. I cop a message while I'm at work from the horse. He goes, "Do you want to do a show with Hurls tonight?" And I said, "All right." I finished.
Oh, and he's been muted, so that's no good. So we can't hear what he's got to say. So we'll just have to move on, won't we, Deadly?
Piss off, mate.
Chris Davis, Clay Hall, a smoky to return this week. Had a good game in the waffle. You're all over that, Deadly. Is that correct?
Yeah, he had a great game.
Okay.
I don't know. That midfield, I'm not going to lie, that waffle midfield of West Coast actually got dominated. I'll be honest. And it consisted of some pretty good footy players in it, some actual A graders. So I think I can't really see them making too many changes, especially this week. And if it's anyone, it's probably
Hamish Davis out.
Yeah, Hamish Davis out. Probably Clay. They've played Clay Hall on the wing before. It'll probably be him on the wing, but that's
Tom. His game's not suited to a wing though. It'll be Tom Gross.
I don't know. Yeah, no, he's an inside mid only. It'd probably be Tom Gross, but I wouldn't make any changes, to be honest.
Yeah, and if you have got him, I think you just hold him, right? Like he's only made 50 grand. At some point, he might get another game and make you another 50 or 80, and that's you just holding for that and using the loop otherwise.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Sid Draper could be the slowest burn of all time. You're probably right. Yep. If we see a role change, though, and he scores us, say, 65 this week, then maybe we're interested because he won't. What's his break even? 71 or something like that? He won't make 87. That this week. 87. There you go. He's going to lose cash. If Crouch gets dropped, Dawson could be very juicy. I think Peatling would be more juicy if Crouch gets dropped.
I think Crouch has more chance of getting a position switch than getting dropped at this rate.
Cheese wants to know, please tell me that's true. Deadly Dawson back could make me the happiest man in the world.
That's what I'm thinking it could be, Edwards and Dawson, but they could go very boring and just make it butts and probably ball lays.
Yep. Skid fits Dawson off the halfback, kicking all the balls out in the full.
Nah, behind the ball he'll be okay. It's in the middle he struggles.
Jonas the goat. Hello, brother. Looking forward to another beer with you, mate. Will Aiden Johnson get a game or just JVR in for useless Fullerton? How's that looking, Deadly?
I don't think Fullerton's going to get dropped. All the Demons fans are actually pleading for Fullerton to stay in just because they don't want JVR to pinch ruck. And I think that's fair enough. You probably need to keep your best forward.
How's Aiden Johnson been playing in the VFL?
He played good. He kicked 3.4 with 15 touches, but he didn't do any rucking at all. He just stayed forward. And if he's coming in for Fullerton, he's got a pinch ruck. So
he's got a pinch ruck. Yep. Hey guys, from DJ Big Tom, how you doing, mate? I have 419k in the bank. I'm thinking of trading Levi Ashcroft and Pryor or Trainer up to Rankin and Petraka as my forward line is light. Allows me to move Sinclair to defense. Thoughts? I mean, if you bring in Rankin and Petraka in, I'd do it.
No, I don't love Levi Ashcroft out.
No, I don't love it.
You don't love Levi Ashcroft out?
No.
You still think he's got more money to make?
Yeah, I think he's safe. Like, the question I would ask is, if you do Levi Ashcroft and Pryor, what does that leave you rookie-wise? Which rookies have you got on the field? Like, if Levi's getting an 80 comfortably, and because you've traded him out, you're now having to play Kako or something, and he might get a 30. Have you really done anything to your team? I think it depends. Without seeing the team, these are hard calls to make. Like, Ashcroft is just a rookie after all, but I trust Ashcroft and I don't trust some of my other rookies. So unless you've got, and then surely there's another way you could get there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
What else we got here? Cheese. Joe Watson was his favourite player. Skits Fitz. Michael Hurley. Silver top Hurley. There you go.
Well, I love Hurls. I love Hurls as well.
Yeah. Daily Bale has his second highest average ground at Mars this week. 107 average. There you go. Only average high is TIO, where he's played one game for 108. Doesn't he play inside Ballarat this week and then TIO the week after?
Maybe. Don't know.
I'll have to check that one.
Okay. I think the inside mids love Mars too, don't they? I think I somehow remember McRae going nuts at Mars every time.
Halfbacks is Mars's halfbacks only. Lockie Whitfield had 43 44
really?
touches last
Shit.
year at Mars.
Well, it's Port,
Who are they?
Port
Who are they
Adelaide.
playing there?
Port Adelaide and Dogs there, and then sure enough,
Connor
they are
Rozee.
off to
Connor
They're off
Rozee
to-
again. Fun.
they're off to TIO Stadium, Gold Coast, round 9. So
That's also a
his
pretty
two
small
best
stadium.
grounds. Yep.
I'd hold Dale if you got him. By the way, I don't know if that's been said this pod, but
I agree. Yeah.
I'm almost going to look at him in a couple of weeks at 450k. So
Here we go.
Yeah. I think I agree with that.
Grant, gone balls deep, and now have Nick Dacos, Butters, and Bont praying for Kitty and all these likes to salvage the remaining holes. Time to zag from. Good on you, Grant. That's ballsy.
I think, and I made this call a couple of weeks ago. If you were struggling in ranks, you were pissed off with your team, that's going to be fun to watch. Having Bont and Butters as pods for the next, who knows, maybe the season if we can't all get them. But if they stay up even for 6-7 weeks, gee, that's going to be a fun watch. So go for it. We sometimes forget, we get so technical about SuperCoach, and I'm going to be a hypocrite for a second because I think strategy probably far more than I should and more than anyone. And I think about rookies and all that kind of crap. But sometimes you got to have a bit of fun. If you're not going where you want to go, just bring some blokes in you like watching, and bloody hell, there's some good blokes to watch.
100%.
You want a fun fact?
Go.
Lowest scoring halfback last year, or lowest touched halfback, just out of any of the halfbacks at Mars, had 22 touches.
There you go.
Wow.
In the 2 games.
Rozee and Farrell and Bailey Dale all up this week.
All about to go off. Nathan Simpson. Warner is cheap and has the second best buy with the teams on his buy. Average 103 last year. That's top 6. I agree with that.
I agree. I agree with the buy. I don't agree that I want Warner, but I think that Sydney and Adelaide and these kind of teams are really, really handy if you're really stacked in any of the round 12 and 16 buys. I reckon 12 and 16 are going to kill people. So, if you trust Warner and you want to go there, go there. I don't. But I am thinking maybe someone like a Heaney or something might be okay in a few weeks.
Do you know what? 103 last year. Yep. He would have been top 6. Yep. But he also had the likes of Goulden and other guns running around that made it easier for him. And, other guns in the teams mean that he's not going to get as much attention. The fact that the superstars in that team, Deadly, who is it? Heaney and Warner?
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I didn't get to mention it before, but Heaney's one I'm looking at to bring in next week.
Delicious. Nikhil, do you think Ash can be top 6? Bought him in at 480k. Well done for bringing him in, and the way he's scoring. Fucking oath.
Yep. Just ride that all the way home. Like, why not? I don't know. Will he be top 6? We're all just guessing at the moment. I think he's D2. If you've got him for 480, you've got nothing to lose there.
Yep. Lockie, how you doing, mate? Is there a way to get more than one Nick Dacos in my side? So I'd say he's a Collingwood supporter.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's a good mate of mine. And yes, I'm probably the friend he's asking for. He was ranked 130th, I believe, last week. Not for the round, just season. But
really?
Yeah,
definitely hadn't been listening to you for his advice then.
Oh, don't worry. He's had a very nice fall off, and now he's ranked lower than me. So up yours, Lachlan.
Kizza brings up a good point. Ballarat is normally windy too, so there could be more points, which means more points for kickouts.
Yeah. Maybe that's why the halfbacks get all those big scores and big possessions. They get half of them from kick-ins, maybe.
Not really. Last year.
Maybe. Anyway, that's going to do us for tonight. So you've seen Hurls' team, you've seen his structure, you've seen the way that he's going to potentially move forward with what he wants to do. We're going to do that every Tuesday night moving forward on the Insight channel here. We're looking to bring you a show hopefully 4 to 5 times a week to keep you guys interested in the SuperCoach at home, to keep you guys motivated, to want to do well, but also give you everything you need so then you can do as well as you can this year in SuperCoach and beat your friends, win your cash leagues and all that sort of jazz. Deadly, you're at work tomorrow night, unfortunately, but Thursday night, we've started the new panic room, mate. Do you want to tell the people what we've got going on there?
Oh, so as soon as team lists drop, 6:30 most weeks, I hope anyway. We'll jump on a stream, talk about the team list, who it affects, who's going to, be guys to target, and just sort of things like that. And we'll give, some predictions to see how the games will go. And it's all around a good time, and it's a good time for everyone to make their last minute decisions.
Mm-hmm. That's why we call it the panic room, because all the teams drop and we give our educated advice on what to do, who to bring in, who to fade, and a whole lot more. That's when we know what rookies are coming in and where teams are looking to go with structures and all that sort of jazz. Hurls, we've got tomorrow night, mate. Round 8.
We do, back again
preview.
For the preview show. And I promise for everyone that watched tonight, it won't be as technical every week as that. I wanted to just do tonight with a little bit of the mechanics of the plan. Each week will just be get my SuperCoach team up, talk about what some of the trades that I'm thinking about are, where am I heading in the next 2 and 3 weeks, is the plan changing, and that. It won't be as technical as tonight, but back tomorrow night for the preview, which will be a lot of fun again. We've got Squiddy back. I'm looking forward to Cone of the Week this week.
He's muted himself.
As he should. That was the best thing you said for the night too, Horse.
Yeah,
myself a real pump up there.
And now you're talking from an acre away. That's all right, Horse.
There's no actual Squiddy tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
So Squiddy is, as we all know, became a dad a little while ago, and hopefully he'll be able to have his son go home with him this week. So he's spending a little bit more time with the family. So, no Squiddy tomorrow night, but we do have Rookie Coach for his maiden appearance here on the Insight Fantasy Sports Network. He's actually going to give the Cone of the Week a little bit of a crack. So I want everyone at home to get behind him. He thinks he's got what it takes to match Squiddy. I don't think so, but we'll wait and see. But as Grant has said, if you haven't yet, hit like, hit subscribe, give us the thumbs up, put the bell on so you know we're going live. We appreciate you guys at home, and we will catch you tomorrow night and Thursday night before round 8 kicks off. Until then, we'll see you then.